We come in peace. Priorities set at point of origin. Behavior follows dictated priorities. Priority override. We come in. This is probe 2418-B. Coordinates are plus 612.5 by plus 208.3. Priority override. New behavior dictated. Must break target into component materials.
Energize. What? A human in a Precursor service vehicle? How did you escape the slave shield, human? Or are you a rogue? Submit. Launch fighters. 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 Homeworlds.
It is the alien from the Tenjessu's alliance.
Just look at those weapon pods on his ship.
We hope that during this visit, we can make clear to your species the benefits of a mutual assistance pact.
But we're also armed to the teeth, so don't try stealing our atmosphere or anything sneaky like that.
We had a close call last week,
One of those black ships was snooping around the system.
but before it got to our world, some of the green ships warped in, destroyed the black vessel, and then left immediately.
We got lucky.
No, we have nothing new to report.
Nope, not a thing.
How wonderful! We accept!
Hooray!
How marvelous!
Yeehaw!
Captain, we are delighted that your people have made this choice.
Now we won't get slaughtered.
In exchange for our cooperation helping you with captains and ship designs, all that we ask for is your protection.
So we don't get slaughtered.
We shall begin fulfilling our commitment at once. We will transport officers and our Stinger design to your base immediately.
Why, heck! Maybe I'll even make the trip to your planet. I'd make a good Starship captain. Captain, I'm pretty darn mean in a fight, and there ain't nobody better than me with a thrusty Stinger tongue attack.
Sure. What do you want to know?
Just ask away.
Not much, to tell the truth.
This space exploration stuff is kind of new to us,
Besides the green alien ship
which have only tried to kill us,
and the black alien ship,
which have actually been quite successful at killing us.
the only other starships we have encountered are strange tumbling red probes, which profess to be on a peaceful mission.
But then attack like slavering Zabrankies.
We believe that the probes are actually robotic scouts, which have suffered some kind of malfunction resulting in their aberrant behavior.
And what's worse, they are multiplying.
Yes, that's true. The probes seem to be replicating at a geometric rate.
Hey! That means if there was only one last week, then next month, wait a minute, let me calculate. That means next month there'll be a whole mess of those things.
By backtracing the probe's course path, we have been able to calculate that the source of the probes is somewhere on a direct line that includes our star and Epsilon Muscae.
Go get 'em, Captain.
Ah, cultural exchange. A good idea.
Yeah, let's tell 'em about Frungy.
Be quiet, you fool. He asked a serious question. He doesn't want to know about Frungy.
How do you know? What makes you so smart? You never even asked him if he wants to know about Frungy. Why, I'll bet right now he's wondering, what is this wonderful sport Frungy? How is it played? What kind of equipment do you need to play Frungy? And I wonder who's ahead in the Frungy championships.
Ah, will you shut up about Frungy? If you say another word about that stupid game, I'm going to lose control and blow a cloud of spores at you.
Yeah, okay. Don't blow your stack. I won't mention Frungy again. I promise.
Well, Captain, as you can probably see, our culture's predominant trait, its greatest strength and weakness, is the diverse interactions between Zot, Plot, and Fix.
Frungy!
The Stinger is the peak of our technological prowess.
It's totally awesome.
These vessels are cheap to build and can be quite effective in short-range combat.
They turn on a small round thing that's real small.
Remember, though, against most ships, the Stinger must close distance immediately and give unrelenting tongue attacks until either the enemy or the Stinger are destroyed.
Yeah, the tonguing is the best part.
Nope.
Not a word.
Our past? Quite a broad topic for this short conversation, but we'll share a key piece of our history with you.
After we killed off the last Zabranki, we faced an interesting question.
Should we proceed and establish a culture which would advance in art, technology, and social sophistication?
Or should we just go back into the forest and kick back and enjoy ourselves, knowing that a Zabranki wasn't going to jump out of the bush and eat us?
Well, we did go back into the forest. We stayed there for about 5,000 years and had a great time.
Then, one stormy day, a Zoc, a Fox, and a Pip were walking up a steep path looking for something good to eat when a bolt of lightning struck nearby. With a huge flash of light, the bolt of energy carved a strangely shaped chunk of granite out of a cliff.
It was a disc with a hole in the middle. As the rock began to roll down the hill toward the three terrified beings, some dry grass got caught in its hole. And since the rock was still hot, the grass caught on fire.
When the rock finally got to the Zoc, the Fox, and the Pip, they simultaneously discovered the wheel, fire, and religion, thus catapulting them on the road of progress.
Which has led us to this day, Captain. Oh, how did the flaming wheel give religion to our culture, you ask?
I will explain. You see, when it got to the threesome, the flaming wheel was going at a pretty good clip, and it ran smack into the Zoc, killing him.
The Fox and the Pip felt so bad. They really liked that Zoc, that they decided the Zoc hadn't really died when the wheel flattened him. He had just gone to a better place.
Presumably one without lethal flaming wheels.
Anything else? Goodbye, Captain.
See ya!
our doctrinal conflict with the Korra. This is not tolerable. We must maintain our concentration on this war. We must win. Should we lose, the consequences to you and all other sentient life in this part of the galaxy would be very grave. Since you have refused to depart willingly, it appears that we must eliminate you ourselves.
Hello, visitor. We are the Slylandro. I am content to hover, a Slylandro speaker. Your presence here fills us with excitement. We have gotten so few visitors over these many drawn. We hope you can stay to talk with us for a time. Oh, this is terribly exciting. We will be happy to tell you about ourselves if you would please do the same. You see, we Slylandro have been extremely interested in learning about the galaxy, but our physique makes us incapable of leaving our gas giant home. Therefore, we are totally reliant on our infrequent visitors to keep us informed about events outside this planetary system. And visitors usually only show up every few drawn. We hope that our newly deployed exploration probe fleet will not only gather information for us, but inform other races of our presence here as well. We are the Slylandro, a race of kind, curious, gas-bag people. Certainly, provided you share with us similar Our planet, which we call Source, has no solid surface as yours likely does. Our world is the 500-kilometer band of atmosphere in which we can survive. Below this are the depths, a dark, hostile region, which grows increasingly darker and more hostile the farther one goes. A typical feat of courage for Slylandro juveniles is to sink far enough into the depths so that the juvenile's gas bag is almost ruptured by the pressure. The tissue scars left by the trip last many rotations, and are thought to attract comely mates. Above our world is void. When we travel up too far into void, we grow giddy and behave inappropriately. We have an egalitarian society here. All are equal. Of course, that doesn't stop some people from being stupid fools or jerks. But on a world as huge as Source, where there are no barriers to restrict your travel, if someone is bothering you, you simply go somewhere else. As you might have guessed, we have no physical technology. In our long history, several of our people have tried to work with objects, constructing weapons and other tools from the carcasses of dead beasts. But eventually, whatever it was they were building got too heavy and dragged them down to the depths. Since we possess no technology, we have no permanent way to record the passing of events. Instead, we use the history chants, long songs whose rhythms and patterns help prevent the introduction of error into the record. When the Shaggy Ones first arrived over 41 drawns ago, we had no words for aliens or ships, for stars or planets. Our skies are an opaque swirl of colors. We knew nothing of the universe outside Source. The Shaggy Ones taught us most of the new words, and after they departed, we remembered them for the many long drawn, until ships from the sentient milieu arrived. Our world, which we call Source, has been home to our species for many thousands of drawn. We evolved from simpler, unimodular beings who thrive in atmospheric convection cells. At first, we were little more than mindless consumers who glided at the edge of wind walls, straining the air for small animalcules. But even then, we were social creatures who invented language so that we could better cooperate when herding food into dense concentrations. There are many hundreds of species here in Source, producers, consumers, hunters, and parasites, but so far, we are the only species here to achieve intelligence. My pleasure. Now let's talk about you and your peoples. Oh my! I forgot! You creatures see in the visual range, and can see we can't see them. What I mean to say is, they are, we use them when the male and the female, well look, I'd rather... The drawn is our primary... Yes, that must be great, to leave your planet and roam the stars. You don't know how monotonous living on a gas giant for 3 or 4 Drawn can be. Clouds, clouds, clouds. Wind, lightning, clouds, clouds, clouds. That's it. We know a lot about clouds. If you've got any... The Ur-Quan? The long brownish guys from the milieu with all the eyes and arms? They used to come visit us regularly about 3 Drawns ago. They told us about all the interesting things they found from their scouting missions. They were really nice. Why do you fight with them? But the Ur-Quan were such good guys. They had lots of interesting things to tell us about, and they never got impatient with our questions. Well, I guess a lot can happen to a species in 3 Drawn, like turning green and evil. Oh, then you should go check out a planet orbiting a blue star not too far from here. I think there is another blue star right next to it. We can't describe exactly where it is, but the people who told us about it, the Ur-Quan I think, said that it was one of the rarest worlds in space, and that as far as they knew, there were only 10 of these planets in this part of the galaxy. Okay, but... You know, it's funny. We hadn't heard from the outside galaxy in a whole Janasa, and then the Melnome come by and sell us a probe, and just a few hundred rotations later, you show up. Oh, the probes? Right. Well, like we said, just a short time ago, a race called the Melnome stopped by. They said they had acquired some information revealing our existence, and they wanted to study us if we didn't mind. In fact, the Melnome said they would pay us for the right to do so. I guess they are biology nuts or something. Anyway, in exchange for our information, they gave us a probe vessel. Years? Oh, you mean Drawn. Well, let's see. There was the Melnome just a few rotations back, then we go all the way back over 3 Drawn ago to the Ur-Quan and the other milieu guys. The Yuli and the Draw, I think. Let me remember. That was a long, long time ago. I was only a nymph then. Oh yes, that's it. The sentient milieu was a cooperative association of sentient alien species. The Yuli, the Draw, the Taelo, the Melnome, the Faz, and the Ur-Quan, who lived across a wide section of the galaxy. They talked with us fairly frequently for almost half a Drawn. Then suddenly, the visit stopped, and we haven't heard from them since. Yes, there was another race, a highly sophisticated species of shaggy giants who made repeated trips to our world over a period of several Drawn. They even installed a broadcasting satellite in orbit around our world, which let us talk with them whenever we wanted. They were called I'm sorry, I can't remember their names. It was a long, long time ago. I wish I knew more of the information you seek, Traveler. But we last saw the shaggy ones just over 39 Drawn ago, and very little from that era has remained intact in our history chants. Hold on a minute. Let me consult with Associates Joyce Lifting and Sullen Plummet. Joyce Lifting, who has a better memory than I, recalls that the shaggy ones were described as being worried. They were always hurrying from place to place, seeking knowledge as though they were in a desperate search for some important secret, some answer to a question that they never shared with us. Sullen Plummet remembers that the last time the shaggy ones visited our world, they came aboard a great circular starship, one even larger than your own. They had discovered their answer and were leaving to go somewhere, and they didn't tell us exactly where somewhere was. No, I have told you. One moment. Joyce Lifting transmits. Joyce Lifting has remembered something else, though it does not relate to the shaggy one's question, answer, or departure destination. What my associate communicates is the description of a set of 10 worlds, unlike all others. The Shaggy ones either discovered these planets, or, this is garbled, assembled them? We were told the planets were, again this is confusing, organized in some pattern which in some way alluded to the Shaggy one's ultimate fate. One of the worlds was described as orbiting one of a pair of blue stars not far from here. Another of these worlds circled a large white sun. That is all we can remember. Sure, if you are interested, in exchange for information about the life on Source, the Melnorme offered to give us a remote exploration probe. It would roam the galaxy gathering information and contacting alien races, and when it had filled its data storage units, it would return here and reveal to us everything it had learned. From the Melnorme Traveler Traders, it was catalog item 2418, Remote Self-Replicating Robot Explorer Probe, the economy model. The Melnorme traded it to us for 2R300. It was sent on a 500 rotation mission to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no catalog item 2418, Remote Self-Replicating Robot Explorer Probe, had gone before. Well, we're not hardware people, so we only know the theory. What happens is that while the probe is exploring space, whenever it's not doing something more important, it hunts for asteroids and similar space junk, zaps it into its component parts, absorbs the debris, and when it has enough raw materials stored inside, it manufactures a perfect replica of itself. So even though we only bought one probe, by now there should be hundreds of probes, maybe even thousands. Our probes do not attack. They have only defensive capabilities. Offensive behavior is not part of the instructions we programmed into the probe. To do so would be reprehensible. Sure, well, that behavior was hard-coded by the Melnorme. We couldn't mess with it. Essentially, the probe will only fire its weapons if it has been attacked and cannot communicate with the attacker. No, the probe is armed with a battery of missiles. It doesn't use its electrical discharge device in combat. That's impossible! It's inconceivable! The electrical discharge device is used only for breaking down raw replication materials into their component compounds for easy gathering. Sure, it was a difficult task for us, since we'd never done anything like that before, but for the most part, we just adjusted its standard program, which went something like scan for targets as defined in target list. If no current target, then select new target from the current targets list using specified priorities. If current position is at current target, then set current behavior to new behavior based on behavior priority settings. Perform current behavior. Okay, that's the basic program. I said it was simple, and here are the tables used by the program. Target list with associated target priority. Space vessel 5. Transmission source 4. Astronomical anomaly 3. Planet-bearing life signature 2. Raw replication materials 1. Probe behaviors with assigned priorities. Communicate 5. Record data 4. Analyze data 3. Seek replication materials 999. Move to current target 1. That's it. I'd be glad to. You see, the probe has the capability to seek out raw materials. Well, the factory setting was 2, in between movement at 1 and analyze data at 3. I told Joyous Lifting to set it a bit higher. Let me ask him what he set it to. Oh, my. That was a bit extreme, wasn't it? Joyous Lifting told me he changed it to 999, the highest setting on the dial. I'm pretty sure the way it works is that every time a behavior is completed or interrupted, the program selects a new behavior based on the defined behavior target priorities and what kind of target is currently selected. I think a really high priority would cause a probe to focus its attention on that behavior. No, it cannot. It is not programmed for hostile behavior. What is your reasoning? The probe seeks raw materials and processes them in preparation for replication. The answer is simple. It would spend more of its time seeking raw materials for its replication process. So what? I don't see what you are getting at, but I'll play along with you. Like I said, alien ships are the top priority target. Once a probe scanned a ship, it would instantly move toward it. Then, when it got to the ship, it would initiate communication automatically. When communications were terminated, a new behavior would be selected and... a new behavior would be selected. And since the replication setting was set to maximum, the probe wouldn't get time to pick a new target. It would use the current target, the ship, for raw replication materials. It would process the ship, break it into component compounds with electrical discharges. Oh no! What have we done? Traveler, you must tell us what we can do! How can we stop the probes from destroying all life in the galaxy? Sorry, the Melnorme made us agree to a formal waiver of damages in case something like this happened. No, not Catalog Item 2418, Remote Self-Replicating Robot Explorer Probe. The model with the recall transmitter was Catalog Item 2419, and the Melnorme said it was out of stock. Why yes, there is! You're a genius, Traveler! Why didn't we remember that? Oh, there's a problem though. How are we going to transmit the code? Well, while we ponder that problem, at least we can give you the code sequence. That way, if you run into a probe, you can destroy it without getting shot at. Goodbye, human fluid sack. Ah, human traveler, we have news. One of our probes finally returned home, and we have been able to reconfigure it so that it will seek other probes and broadcast the destruct code sequence. We expect the population of probes will decline swiftly. Thank you so much for showing us our error. We feel very badly about the inconvenience it has caused others. Certainly, provided you... Our world, which we call Source, has been home to our species for many thousands of drama. We evolved from simpler... My pleasure. Great. Now you... That's okay. Actually, your explicit questions have put soul employment in a... Certainly, provided you ship... My pleasure. Goodbye.
I must warn you, Captain. This is the time of the month we Melnorme drive exceptionally hard bargains. Beware. Now, what can we do for you today? What? The 10,014 units of biological data we downloaded from your ship earn you 20,018 credits. What rate? How much? Fuel transferred. As you know, in our many centuries of star trading, we Melnorme have come to learn much about what happens in our galaxy, both now and in the ancient past. We have also kept records on the diverse alien races in your region of space. We will share this crucial knowledge with you for a fee of 75 credits per informative fact. No refunds. While you probably believe that the Shofixti are extinct, having caused their sun to flare with a device identical to the Utwig super bomb, the truth is not so simple. There yet exists a chance to resuscitate this meta-marsupial species, though it will not be easy. The problem at hand seems simple. Bring together two Shofixti of different sexes, and the carnal gymnastics proceed. Given the short gestation and maturation time of the Shofixti, you will have thousands of the creatures in 10 years and millions in 20. Finding a male of the species is easier than fluff. Simply visit the Shofixti's blasted star system at Delta Gorno. Captain Tanaka, or its sibling, Katana, shall greet you on your arrival. A warning. These warriors are old and fly in barely functional ships. If they mistakenly identify you as the enemy, do not return fire. Retreat and try to talk to them on their own level. The females of the species will be more difficult to obtain. The only supply of such remaining in the galaxy is at Alpha Cherenkov 1, included as part of General Zex's bizarre and beloved menagerie. Fortunately for you, Captain, Zex is considered, well, perverse by the Starfox. This is because Zex actually enjoys the presence of human beings. To acquire the Shofixti females, you will have to appease Zex, or kill him. The Ur-Quan are presently at war with a race called the Korra. They are fighting within a large spherical region of space, centered around the Precursor star group. Although it is probably too early to tell, it would appear that the Korra are winning. No doubt you are familiar with an alien race called the Unga, who live in the Orionus constellation. While they are renowned for their potent and often cruel sense of humor, they have outdone themselves in recent years. Specifically, they have used an unusual hyperwave caster to impersonate the Ilrath gods Dogar and Kazon. When the Ilrath began tuning in to the voices of their gods on their hyperwave receivers, the priest caste was understandably skeptical and counseled their many followers to ignore the blasphemous signals. However, in a surprise move, the majority of the Ilrath then rose up and slaughtered the entire priest caste. The reasons for this ghastly move included overtaxation, lack of quality depth in ceremony, and the general feeling that the priests had made Dogar and Kazon's pronouncements overly complex. As you know, there are weaknesses in the division between dimensions. For example, your vessel uses such weaknesses to enter hyperspace. However, there are other weak spots in the galaxy which lead to yet different dimensions. One such portal exists nearby, between the Chandrasekhar and Kolam Bay constellations. The portal opens only a short time each month, starting on the 17th. Since we have never entered the portal, we can give no more information on this subject. As you are probably aware, Ur-Quan starships, you call them dreadnoughts I believe, possess effective self-annihilation circuits, which prevent other races from reverse engineering Ur-Quan technological secrets. However, we have become aware of a shipwrecked dreadnought, which has remained largely intact. You will find the remains of the ship on the surface of a blue world orbiting Alpha Pavonis. We suspect you will find at least one item of interest there, possibly two. You may have noticed the presence of an increasingly large number of red probe vessels, which move with great speed and attack relentlessly. We are sorry to say that this is our catalog item 2418B. Do not blame us. We are not responsible for this violent folly. The product is not being used in a correct manner. Should you wish to confront the actual wrongdoers, we suggest you search the planets in Beta Corvi for the probe's owners. Not more than 50 years ago, the Druge were informed by the now extinct Pervixies race of a powerful alien nation called the Utwig. The Utwig, the Pervixies explained, were pleasant, sophisticated creatures, but they were also terminally depressed and often spoke about ending their lives by activating a super weapon, some kind of gigantic bomb, which they had found on one of their worlds. Zeta Hyades 6b, I think it was. The Druge recognized the description of the bomb as a Precursor planetary tool, which indeed was an explosive device of unrivaled power, and they set out to make it their own. Though the revolting, criminal, insidious Druge rarely leave their sphere of influence, it encompasses Algol, Almagest, and the Persei stars. They made a special trip on this occasion to the Aquarii constellation, where they made contact with the Utwig. There is a device commonly known as the Ur-Quan. Is it now in your possession? Ah, I see. The Druge sold this device to the Utwig, explaining that it was a Precursor personal magnifier, which would enrich the lives of their entire culture in too many ways to describe specifically. The Utwig, I am sorry to say, fell for the Druge's foul ruse and snapped up the Ur-Quan immediately. Fortunately for us all, the Utwig did not pay the Druge's requested price, the super bomb, and instead gave them a collection of historical oddments and genuine artifacts, which to this day the Druge are trying to unload on unwary buyers. The Utwig, who live in the Aquarii constellation, have grown very depressed of late. They accidentally broke the supposed Ur-Quan sold to them by the felonious Druge. As a consequence, they are morose and melancholic, and will probably be unwilling to help you fight the Ur-Quan. If you wish to gain them as allies, we recommend that you acquire the broken Ur-Quan, as if it ever worked, and find some suitable replacement parts. Our information indicates that you could find these items in 3 different places. A rosy sphere at the Druge trade world, an aqua helix somewhere in Thredash space, and a clear spindle, which is currently in the possession of the Precursor. Captain, that was the last current event we have for sale. The Zokpotpik are a friendly co-op of 3 alien species, all native to the same world. They are presently suffering severe collateral damage from the ritual combat between the Ur-Quan and the Korah. While this is unfortunate for the Zokpotpik, they have been forced to abandon many of their worlds. This close proximity to the inter-Ur-Quan war will give them insights into the conflict, which will be of great use to you. In addition, the Zokpotpik met the Chenjesu early on in the war and are eager to make allies who can protect them from their enemies. In case you are interested, the Zapfat homeworld is at coordinates 400.0 by 543.7, Planet 1. The Ur-Quan are presently attacking the Pekunk in the Lakay and Kruger constellations. These beings have slavish devotion to their dark gods Dogar and Kazan, which in the past few years has been used against them by the Unga. If you need to manipulate the Ur-Quan, we suggest you discover the Unga's technique and duplicate it. The Pekunk are a mystical offshoot of the Yehat species, who left their bird brothers long ago to found a peaceful enclave in the Kruger and Keitel stars. At the present time, the Pekunk are defending themselves against the Ur-Quan, who have been commanded to attack the happy birds by Dogar and Kazan. The Pekunk may be unwilling to make a formal alliance with you, but we have confidence that if you explain yourself honestly, they will help your efforts against the Ur-Quan. The creatures presently fighting the Ur-Quan are called the Korah. They are an Ur-Quan subspecies who split off from the main species many thousands of years ago. Their present fight is a ritual reenacting of a major difference of opinion between two rival Ur-Quan leaders after the Ur-Quan overwhelmed their slave masters, the Dinyare. The Korah are immune to reason, having long ago lost the ability to see their situation objectively. They live in a self-maintained paradox. To ensure their safety and security, the Korah fight an endless battle against all other sentient species. I must warn you about some very bad people. Is this worth so many credits? You ask yourself. I assure you it is. The creatures are called the Druge, and they are a callous and evil race. They care for nothing but profit and personal gain through unfair mercantile exchanges. Why are you looking at me like that, Captain? It is not appropriate. As I was saying, these wicked creatures will try to sell you commodities at unreasonably low prices. Boy, they almost give away fuel. Do not fall for their tricks. There are hidden costs, secret tariffs, so that you may avoid them. I will tell you that their main trade world is Zeta Persei 1. Why are you smiling, Captain? The Berdixies race evolved on the planet Arcturus 1. They lived there in a relatively benevolent manner until the Korah came and destroyed them during the course of 2 or 3 unfortunate days. The Druge were largely responsible for the Korah finding the Berdixies. You see, the Berdixies were in long-distance, hyperwave contact with a race known simply as the Keg. For decades, the Keg and the Berdixies traded much valuable information until the gang came under attack by an invading race who you may know as the Korra. The Geg warned the Vertexes that the Korra located races by their hyperwave transmissions and that they had already discovered the radiations from the Druge. When the Vertexes were kind enough to warn the Druge that a hostile alien race was homing in on their hyperwave radiations, the Druge shut down all their transmitters and erected a powerful hyperwave beacon on the surface of the Vertexes moon. The Korra changed course, attacked the poor Vertexes, and sadly destroyed them all. The Tradash are an arrogant, stubborn, and thick-skinned species who reside in the Draconis and Apodus star systems. They have little or no respect for anything but force, which they admire greatly. To make the Tradash your friends, you should consider killing most, but not all of them. In addition, they guard some kind of sacred relic at the star system Zeta Draconis, though we do not know the true nature of this artifact. The Tradash homeworld is at Delta Draconis. After the war, the Chenjesku and the Mernherm chose to be slave-shielded on the Chenjesu's homeworld at Procyon. We suspect that they are melding their two species to form some kind of new hybrid race, a race which may well be powerful enough to destroy the Ur-Quan single-handedly. However, by our calculations, this process will take many decades, if not centuries. Should you wish to talk to them, we recommend you invest in a hyperwave broadcasting system, which is powerful enough to penetrate the shield around their world. The Mycon are using this time, while the Ur-Quan have their attention elsewhere, to expand their sphere of influence as fast as possible. The Mycon colonize planets by launching tough spore pods from orbit and injecting them under the planet's surface. Months later, after the spores have grown hundreds of thick, fibrous tendrils under the planet's crust, the tendrils suddenly thrust up out of the planet and create huge calderas. Not incidentally, filling the planet's atmosphere with the Mycon's preferred gases, clouds of superheated steam and sulfuric acid. Following the end of the war, the Androsim began experimenting with interdimensional fatigue, a process which is related to your faster-than-light drive, but involves dimensions far more alien than hyperspace. They had just made a major breakthrough when they were suddenly wiped out by a race called the Ors, who appeared seemingly out of nowhere. Actually, we don't know what the Ors did to the Androsim. They're just all gone. The Arilulale are a mysterious race of IDF beings. IDF meaning interdimensional fatigue. They do not reside in this galaxy, or in fact, anywhere in this universe. While it is true that the Arilu are rarely seen far from the Columbae star group, they do make regular, secret visits to your world, and have done so for centuries. Ever since Earth was stage-shielded, they have focused their attention on the humans aboard the starbase, many of whom are now members of your crew. Though the Arilulale always smile and are never overtly hostile, we believe that they have a secret agenda which somehow involves your planet Earth. These secret plans may or may not cause grief and woe to you Earthlings. Just under 20 years ago, the brave and suicidal Shofixi annihilated their species by exploding a precursor device, some kind of bomb, in the interior of their sun. The resulting storm of solar flares cooked the life off the Shofixi homeworld, and incinerated over 100 Ur-Quan dreadnoughts which had just entered the system to conquer the Shofixi. In actuality, there are still at least a dozen Shofixi left alive in the galaxy. One or two are at Delta Gorno, guarding the dead hulk of their once beautiful world. Others can be found in Vox space. The Slilandro are a mostly non-solid, sentient race who live in a gas giant at Beta Corvi. We recently sold them a self-replicating exploration probe, which has somehow turned hostile and attacks everything it detects. If such encounters have angered you, Captain, please do not address your concerns to us. We possess a formal waiver of damages authorized by a Slilandro speaker and are in no way responsible for the situation. The cowardly Staffy live at the single planet orbiting Epsilon Gruis. They do not actually live on their world, rather they reside on its airless moon. The reason? A xenomorphic species which craves the sweet flavored flesh of the Staffy has been transported to the surface of their planet and makes every attempt to devour the poor Staffy. I'm certain that the Staffy would be forever in your debt if you were to eliminate these creatures from their planet. What? You fear the alien creatures will find you a treat also? Fear not. Our data reveals the beasts are not interested in your species. Should you wish to consult with the Staffy Ruling Council, you will need to know the secret Staffy cipher, a password which is Huffy, Muffy, Guffy. Like you Earthlings, when the war with the Ur-Quan was lost, the Cyrene chose to be slave-shielded. Their new world is at Betelgeuse. The Cyrene starbase is crewed by the Starship commanders and crew who were decommissioned at the end of the war. Though the Cyrene hate the Ur-Quan with a vengeance, they are unlikely to offer you assistance unless you reveal to them the truth behind the tragedy of their original homeworld, Syra, which was destroyed by the birth of a Mycon Deep child a century ago. When the Ur-Quan entered Gamma Serpentis, the home star of the Yehat, their queen made a sudden change of allegiance and allied with the Ur-Quan hierarchy. They became Ur-Quan combat thralls. This act was viewed by most Yehat Starship officers as ultimately dishonorable, the desperate act of a corrupt regent to maintain her throne. The Yehat shame was greatly magnified by the Shofixti's show of courage when they destroyed their own star system to slow down the Ur-Quan armada. Captain, you have heard all that we have to say about aliens indigenous to this region. Should we learn more in the near future, we shall be certain to sell it to you. Almost 25,000 of your years ago, there existed near this region of space an association of star-faring races called the Sentient Milieu. This group formed over several thousand years to mutually enrich their respective cultures, to provide a safe creche for emerging sentient species, and to afford themselves a degree of protection from external hostilities via military alliance. Of the 7 most active milieu members, the most famous race, indeed, you know them well, Captain, were the Ur-Quan. The Ur-Quan evolved on a harsh planet, orbiting a star outside this region of space. They were solitary predators, like your praying mantis captain, or polar bear, who had a very limited set of social behaviors, most of which dealt with sex, since they had to compete for survival against many physically superior species. The Ur-Quan evolved intelligence and tool use in much the same way as your own species. The Ur-Quan also learned to master their fierce territoriality, to build a cooperative planetary culture. When the Ur-Quan were discovered by the Taeo, they had just begun exploring their solar system in crude atomic vehicles. Although the Ur-Quan attacked what they thought to be an invader, the Taeo were patient. They explained the purpose of the sentient milieu and offered the Ur-Quan membership. The Ur-Quan recognized the benefits that such a system provided, and once more conquered the hunting beast within themselves, to become cooperative, productive members of the milieu. This lasted for several thousands of years. Just over 20,000 years ago, when your ancestors were learning to chart the course of the moon and stars on animal horns, the sentient milieu spanned 500 light years and included the membership of 100 worlds. Like all other star travelers, They had discovered ruins and relics of a far more ancient culture, which your species calls the Precursors. Explorers from many species spent their lives trying to piece together this ancient mystery, but of all races, the Ur-Quan were the most bold adventurers. Their scouts, flying single ships, penetrated far into uncharted space and landed a million worlds. On one such mission, a young Ur-Quan made planetfall on a small, life-bearing alien world to identify some anomalous energy readings, occasionally a sign of Precursor installations. Instead, the Ur-Quan found a small, hideous creature, a Dinyari. Before the scout was able to defend itself, the Dinyari creature took control of the Ur-Quan's mind and commanded the scout to place the Dinyari aboard the Ur-Quan's ship, along with hundreds of its evil brood. Then, the Ur-Quan returned to the heart of the milieu, landing on its capital planet. Within hours, every resident of the planet was a Dinyari slave. Within a month, Dinyari compelled starships and spread the evil, psychic creatures across the entire milieu. When the Dinyari took control over the milieu, one race fought back, the Taelo. These slow, quiet creatures were silicon-based life forms, but bore little resemblance to the modern Shenjesu. Taelo were natural immunes to the Dinyari's psychic compulsion. They were unaffected by the creature's power, and the Dinyari would not permit anyone to exist outside their control. So they ordered the remaining races of the milieu to attack and destroy the Taelo home planet. This planet was one of the few milieu worlds located in this region of space. I believe you call their star Delta Vulpetrae. Their home was a moon revolving about the second planet. I'm sad to say that the Taelo were, indeed, eliminated. However, at the time of their devastation they had completed a device which they thought would give other races psychic immunity like their own. What happened to this device, this shield? It's hard to say. Maybe it was destroyed in the attack on their homeworld. Maybe not. In the Dinyari's new empire, the Ur-Quan were the favored slaves. This is probably because the Ur-Quan were the most psychically sensitive, the most easily compelled. As the centuries of Dinyari dominance passed, what was once the sentient milieu deteriorated and degenerated into a great galactic gulag. Alien races which did not serve with the efficiency and speed demanded by the Dinyari were ruthlessly burned from the faces of their worlds. The agents of this genocide were inevitably the Dinyari's favored pet, the Ur-Quan. After almost 2,500 years of unrelenting Dinyari control, there were only 4 living member races of the once great sentient milieu. By this point, the Dinyari had used genetic manipulation to split the Ur-Quan into 2 subspecies. The green Ur-Quan, scientists, technicians and administrators who were responsible for maintaining the limited infrastructure of the Dinyari civilization, and the Black Ur-Quan, who filled the ranks of basic laborer and combat soldier. Then, a chance discovery by an Ur-Quan named Precursor led to the violent overthrow of the Dinyari slave empire. The Ur-Quan named Precursor was a Green, a researcher specializing in repairing the mental damage inflicted by long-term exposure to the Dinyari's psychic compulsion. By this point in history, the Dinyari had grown lax in their dominance, and on occasion accidentally permitted their slaves moments of self-direction. Precursor was able to use those few scattered minutes to compose a theory. From its observations, Precursor realized that when a slave died, the Dinyari disconnected from the slave's mind, lest it too be dragged down to death. Further, the Ur-Quan scientist uncovered the fact that when a slave underwent great pain, the Dinyari temporarily disconnected, but that the degree of pain had to be extreme, nearly lethal. Precursor chose its moment carefully. It waited until it was near an open transmission unit. Then, in a short moment of mental freedom, the Ur-Quan injected itself with a dose of acidic poison, sending incredible waves of pain through its long body. In the few moments before its death, Precursor was able to wrest control of the transmitter to send word of its discovery across the planet and into space as well. Before the Dinyari knew what was happening, Ur-Quan everywhere were hacking at their own bodies with chunks of glass, burning themselves horribly, doing anything that would give them the few seconds of freedom necessary to find the nearest Dinyari and crush the bleeding creature. As they gained longer and longer periods of control, the Ur-Quan developed new tools and weapons to destroy their evil masters. The most gruesome of these devices was the excruciator, a mechanism which was inserted directly into the brain and generated a constant stream of agony. The Dinyari could not bring themselves to make the necessary mental connection with these tortured Ur-Quan. They were slaughtered by the thousands. The Ur-Quan slave revolt was won. When the last Ur-Quan was free of psychic compulsion, when the last free Dinyari was dead, the combined might of the Ur-Quan starfleets met in orbit above the Dinyari homeworld. They had come together to make two important decisions. First, how to punish the few frightened Dinyari left below on the planet's surface. Second, how to ensure that never again would the Ur-Quan be made slaves. The first decision was made swiftly. the Dinyari would not be allowed to die. That was too kind of fate. Instead, the creatures would be genetically modified into sub-sentience. They would become dumb animals. These low creatures would be further debased by serving the Ur-Quan for all eternity in the most demeaning way the Ur-Quan could imagine, acting as translators, making physical contact with other species, whom the Ur-Quan now considered grossly inferior to themselves and revolting. The second decision, how to ensure their freedom permanently, caused great turmoil. Following the successful Ur-Quan slave revolt, the Ur-Quan met to decide how to ensure their freedom. The Green Ur-Quan, who called themselves the Kazertza in honor of the Ur-Quan who triggered the revolt, wished to establish the path of now and forever, which required that all other sentient species must become slaves of the Ur-Quan or be forever imprisoned beneath an impenetrable force shield. Leading the opposition to this plan was Korra, a charismatic fleet officer. Korra proposed a simpler alternative, the Eternal Doctrine. Simply put, this scheme called for the systematic eradication of all sentient life in the universe, aside from the Ur-Quan. Captain, if these positions seem to you extreme or unwarranted, you must remember that the Ur-Quan had been unwilling slaves for millennia, and that each of them had to remain in agony for years in order to defeat the Dinyari. The followers of Kazertza and Korra were all on the brink of madness, but neither side would submit, and so they fought a bloody civil war. This is the last historical item we have for sale. The civil war between the Green Ur-Quan, the followers of Kazertza, and their opponents, the death-dealing Korra, lasted for decades. It is likely that they would have annihilated each other were it not for a chance discovery by Kazertza, a Precursor battleship. The vessel was huge, many times the size of the Ur-Quan's vessels. The Precursor ship sliced through the Korra forces in days. The Korra were defeated. However, in their victory, the Kazertza were humble. They realized that there was a chance, that they were wrong, and the Korra were right. Instead of destroying the Korra, the Kazertza let them go, directing them to make their way through the stars, traveling against the spin of the galaxy. The Kazertza would travel in the opposite direction, and when the two Ur-Quan forces met, they would fight again in ritual combat, with the Precursor battleship given to the winner. Captain, this is happening here and now. The Kazertza, the Ur-Quan who enslaved Earth, are fighting their ritual battle against the Korra in a large area centered near the Craterus constellation. If the Korra win this battle, Captain, the Kazertza will stand aside and let them kill us all. We believe it is your destiny to prevent this from happening. We regret to say that you have exhausted our supply of genuinely valuable information. However, we do have many thousands of useless facts, and that we will gladly sell you at a substantial discount. Are you interested? We thought not. Very well. It has that.